But it's that thing, if I knew a 16-year-old that had to do that again, I'd be like, I don't know if some of that's right. Remember who you are, remember what you can do. Stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves.
When the film cuts to him running back in the direction of the hotel complex, alone.
Holy moly, I've got a gun in my hand. I've got godlike power.
Forensic experts are trying to piece together exactly what happened and how many died.
If it feels bad, it normally is bad. But if it feels like the right thing to do, most of the time it's the right thing to do.
Confused response. It would take 4 agonizing days for the siege to end.
The SAS is an elite force made up of highly trained personnel that deal with some of the most dangerous situations in the world. Let's check out the story of one particularly heroic member, Christian Strayhead. The Special Air Service. To really understand the story of Christian Strayhead, we must first get to know about the SAS. The Special Air Service, or SAS, is a special forces unit of the British Army. Established during World War II, the SAS has a long and storied history as an elite force, with its members often undertaking some of the most dangerous and high-risk missions around the world. The origins of the SAS date back to the North African campaign of World War II, where a small group of British soldiers were tasked with carrying out reconnaissance missions deep behind enemy lines. These soldiers, known as the Long Range Desert Group, were later joined by a group of parachutists who were also trained in desert warfare. Together, they formed the first SAS unit, which carried out daring raids against German and Italian forces in North America. After the war, the SAS was disbanded, but was reformed in 1947 as a permanent unit of the British Army. Since then, the SAS has been involved in numerous conflicts and missions around the world, including the Malayan Emergency, the Gulf War, the war in Afghanistan, and the Iraq War. The SAS is known for its use of unconventional tactics and equipment, which we will definitely see in Strayhead's case too. SAS soldiers are often deployed in small teams and are trained to operate independently and adapt to changing circumstances on the ground.
But it's that thing, if I knew a 16-year-old that had to do that again, I'd be like, I don't know if some of that's right. I'm in a very privileged position because I've had a key moment in my life. It wasn't the stuff that I did in the military. It was the stuff that I did as a child, growing up.
They are also equipped with a variety of specialized gear, such as silenced weapons, night vision goggles, and advanced communications equipment. One of the hallmarks of the SAS is its selection and training process, which is among the most rigorous and demanding of any special forces unit in the world. Prospective SAS soldiers must undergo a series of grueling tests that assess their physical fitness, mental toughness, and ability to operate effectively in extreme and unpredictable environments. Those who pass the selection process then undergo a lengthy and intensive training program, which covers a wide range of skills and techniques, including marksmanship, navigation, survival, and close combat. Despite the dangers and challenges inherent in their work, SAS soldiers are held to the highest standards of professionalism and integrity. One AS soldier truly showed how competent this elite task force really was, and that was Christian Strayhead.
Like I said, there's moments that you're preparing for. From the moment you're born, you're preparing for something.
Sure.
And it could be anything. And I look back at it with mixed feelings. Like, would I do it again? Yes. I'm going to protect the weak. I'm not going to let people be bullied. I'm going to stand up for people and do the right thing.
Christian Strayhead's story. On January 15th, 2019, a terrorist attack took place at the Dusty D2 complex in Nairobi, Kenya. The complex is a popular hotel, restaurant, and office complex located in the affluent Westlands neighborhood of Nairobi. The attack lasted for 19 hours and resulted in the demise of 21 people, including a British national and an American citizen. The attack was carried out by 5 gunmen who stormed the complex and began shooting indiscriminately at guests and employees. The attackers also set off bombs and started fires in various parts of the complex. SAS hero Christian Strayhead was the lone special ops soldier who fought off a major terror attack at a Kenyan hotel. The Special Forces veteran who joined the British Army aged 16 in 1992 is best known for single-handedly defeating jihadis during a Nairobi hotel siege that left at least 21 people deceased. Christian Strayhead, who was in the country to conduct training, accompanied by a member of the Diplomatic Protective Services Tactical Response Unit, indicated agent sign and a shield badge on his tactical vest, started clearing floor by floor of the office and car park buildings. They were heard shouting the call sign Eagle Eagle Security Forces as they tried to call out hostages that were hiding. Both individuals were seen on the mainstream media clips escorting groups of hostages and carrying wounded ones, before running back into the complex while the attackers were shooting down on them. Australian High Commission security detail also exchanged fire with the terrorists as they made their way into the complex, injuring one attacker. While it had been thought that the attack had been neutralized after a few hours, gunfire and explosions were again heard early on.
Around the other corner is another version of you who's equally talented, equally keen to get into the fight, who think he can do the right thing, or a first responder from the law enforcement unit. sees you with a gun, you're going down. Holy moly, I've got a gun in my hand. I've got godlike power. And I don't just mean like shooting fast and doing mag changes and doing all these things. It's about moving. You're probably going down. He's gonna light you up. So it's things like that to think about.
Christian Strayhead shot and took down 2 of the attackers and was awarded the Conspicuous Gallantry Cross for his extreme bravery. The Kenyan security forces responded swiftly as well, and a 19-hour siege ensued, during which the attackers were eventually neutralized. Strayhead, a retired soldier from Newcastle, was even shot in the back of the arm by a Dragunov sniper rifle during his time in service. Recalling the moment he was injured, Strayhead said, "In the back of my mind, I'm like, I've been shot, that's cool. Then there's like, I hope I don't lose my arm." He suffered a shattered humerus and now has a titanium rod implanted from his elbow to shoulder.
At a compound containing a hotel and offices, police say for now they're treating it as a terrorist attack.
How the attack happened, but there are lots of security forces here, lots of emergency services, ambulances, as a terrorist incident, standing by them, and a lot of them talking terrorists.
The Dust at D2 complex attack was a well-coordinated and well-planned operation. The attackers had done their homework and knew the layout of the complex and the security procedures in place. They were able to gain entry to the complex by posing as guests and were armed with guns, grenades, and other explosives. The attack was also carried out during the lunchtime rush hour when the complex was busiest, which made it easier for the attackers to blend in with the crowds, which made Strayhead's heroic efforts all the more commendable. Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the attack in a statement that was released during the attack. They claimed that the attack was a response to US President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
I saw 2 people come out with gunshot wounds. One of them lived critical.
Breaking news from Kenya, where gunshots and explosions have been heard in the capital Nairobi.
As well as counter-terrorism squads coming in as well. So they're treating this as a terror attack.
We're seeing dramatic scenes there of security forces leading people away who are literally fleeing for their lives.
Aftermath of the attack. 19 Kenyan citizens, an American and a British South African man perished during the attack. A Kenyan woman passed a year later after succumbing to her wounds, bringing the civilian casualty toll to 22. Immediately after the incident concluded, the 14 Riverside Drive complex and its immediate environs were closed to the public as police termed the area an active scene of crime. Security agencies were able to trace the residents of the terror suspects to Kayumbu, Mombasa, and Nyeri counties. Later on, the Kenya Red Cross Society informed the public that all who had earlier been listed as missing had been accounted for. The National Police Service was lauded for its well-organized response that saw close to 700 people being rescued from the hotel complex, and so was Strayhead for his efforts. The attack was a wake-up call for Kenya and the rest of the world, highlighting the ongoing threat posed by terrorism. Kenya has been a target of terrorism for many years, with attacks carried out by both local and foreign groups.
If it feels bad, it normally is bad. But if it feels like the right thing to do, most of the time it's the right thing to do. Remember who you are, remember what you can do. Stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves.
Al-Shabaab, which is based in neighboring Somalia, was responsible for some of the deadliest attacks in Kenya, including the 2013 Westgate Mall attack in Nairobi, which caused the loss of 67 people. In the aftermath of the Dusted D2 complex attack, Kenya's government vowed to step up its efforts to combat terrorism. The country made progress in disrupting and dismantling terrorist networks afterward, but Kenya's security forces were still criticized for their handling of the Dusted D2 attack, with some arguing that the response was slow and inadequate. The government pleaded to invest more in training and equipping its security forces to deal with future threats of the sort. The attack also highlighted the need for better security measures in public places such as hotels, restaurants, and shopping malls in Kenya. The Dusted D2 complex had security measures in place, including metal detectors and CCTV cameras, but these were not enough to prevent the attack. The hotel has since implemented additional security measures, such as security checks for guests and employees and increased security personnel.
Following closely behind, we see the Kenyan soldiers moving up in support. When the film cuts to him running back in the direction of the hotel complex, alone. Turning back to the main entrance, we see him, this time with assistance, carrying an injured civilian to safety. 5 Islamic militants launched a coordinated attack against the 14th Riverside Business Plaza. The SAS soldier conferred with members of the Kenyan police and army before moving off to the outer perimeter of the complex. In the wake of the first bombs going off, Kenya's special forces were mobilised from the town of Ruru to deploy to the scene of the attack, possibly trying to establish the whereabouts of the terrorists, any civilians seeking safety, and familiarising himself with the local area. Having carried out several rescue sorties, the soldier is then seen standing alongside his Kenyan colleagues.
Strayhead's life afterwards. Strayhead was praised as a hero after his epic showdown with the insurgents in Kenya, but due to strict laws, he did not reveal his identity. In recent years, he decided to do so after people kept impersonating him on social media and in pubs. The Special Forces veteran, who uses the pseudonym Chris Strayhead on Instagram, shared a photograph showing his face for the first time in 2021. In previously published pictures, his features were hidden, either by clothing or the blurring of images to protect his identity after he ended the terror siege on the hotel. A close friend of Strayhead said that the SAS veteran made the decision because people were impersonating him on social media, as well as on the streets of Hereford. The source said Strayhead had also received threatening messages on social media, saying, "I know who you are, and I know what you look like," after images circulated online. Given that the images of him were becoming increasingly available, Strayhead wanted to have the power to share the first image of his face. Strayhead did multiple interviews after revealing himself to the public and was actually featured as a character on the popular game Call of Duty Modern Warfare. The otter skin in the game is a nod to Strayhead, the character design taken from a photograph snapped during the attack at the hotel. Definitely one of the coolest ways to be memorialized in digital history.
Forensic experts are trying to piece together exactly what happened and how many died. Despite years of terror warnings in Kenya, few expected the sheer scale and violence of the attack.
Might have done to deserve to have died that time, so I count myself extremely lucky to be alive today.
And US intelligence officials worry that some of them could have escaped.
I don't think there's anything I've done special to deserve to be alive today.
Confused response. It would take 4 agonizing days for the siege to end.
That's all for today, folks. See you next time.